Hello, and welcome to the University Career Center's presentation on the TruTalent Career Assessment. The working world contains thousands of possible career paths, and deciding which ones you want to explore can feel a little overwhelming. So if this sounds like you should consider taking a career assessment. Career assessments are excellent tools to help you clarify which fields and professions might be a match for you. Taking an assessment can speed up a decision you're trying to make and increase your confidence about your career plans, while also helping you discover new careers that you may not have considered before. The UCC offers several career and self-assessments that can help you get a sense of where your strengths and interests lie and suggest some potential career paths to explore. You can then meet with a career coach to get feedback on your assessment results and talk through any questions you might have about them. Most of these assessments do require a small fee. If that fee is a barrier for you, please let the UCC know and we can try to work something out. You can learn more about each of these assessments at career.ku.edu/assessments. This presentation will focus on the TruTalent assessment, which is the third option on the current slide shown in red. If you click on the red TruTalent bar on the website, it will open up a quick overview of the assessment, information about how to sign up for it, and a link to a sample assessment report that you can look through. So the TruTalent assessment builds off of the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI assessment, which assesses personality. Development and applications of psychological type are founded on the idea that understanding your type can help you A, appreciate your own strengths, your own gifts, and potential developmental needs, and B, help you understand and appreciate how other people may differ from you. TruTalent uses the same theory but applies it to career information to help you with your career plans. Understanding your personality is very helpful in career selection because it has been demonstrated that people are happiest and most successful in jobs that allow them to use their greatest natural gifts. Personality is a more stable construct than interests, which change over time, which is why taking the TruTalent personality assessment offers a more nuanced view of your long-term career prospects. The TruTalent, or MBTI, asks you a series of questions regarding your preferences on 4 different scales, and those scales map onto your personality. There are 16 possible combinations of results, and your assessment will tell you with which one you match most closely. The scales are Extroversion, E, or Introversion, I, which asks, what is your source of energy? Then there's Sensing, S, or Intuition, N, which focuses on the type of information that you typically notice first. Next is Thinking, T, or Feeling, F, which is about how you prefer to make decisions. And finally, there's Judging, J, or Perceiving, P, which is about lifestyle preferences, whether you prefer to live in a more structured or spontaneous way. Each one of the 16 possible results has its own strengths and its own weaknesses. None are better than any other, but they may show you why you prefer certain environments when it comes to work, hobbies, and so on. And remember, the tool is not perfect. There may be a difference between your reported type and your true type, i.e. you may be an extrovert at work, but an introvert by nature. Remember, you are more complex than your personality type. And we'll now go through each of these 4 dichotomies in greater detail. Up first is extroversion versus introversion. Extroversion and introversion reveal how we interact with the world and where we direct our energy. As you can see on the left side of this slide, people who test high on extroversion tend to focus on the external world. They prefer to take action and will tend to recharge their batteries through social interaction. People who test higher on introversion, seen on the right side of the slide, tend to focus on the internal world. They prefer to reflect inwardly and recharge their batteries through solitude or by interacting with just a few people at a time. Then there's the sensing-intuiting dichotomy, which reveals the kind of information that we naturally notice. Sensors, summarized on the left side of the slide, tend to focus on facts. They will usually notice what is practical, what's realistic, and what's focused on the now. Intuitors, summarized on the right side of the slide, tend to focus on possibilities. They are ideas focused, and they're always thinking about the future and what could be rather than what is. Next is the thinking-feeling dichotomy, which reveals how we make our decisions. Thinkers take a quote-unquote objective view. They value detachment and analysis, and they may think of themselves as tough but fair, applying the same standards to all situations. Feelers are more likely to take a subjective view, valuing the personal, the human-focused element, and will always consider why different situations may merit different responses. And finally, there's the judging-perceiving dichotomy, which reflects our lifestyle, whether we prefer to live in a way with more structure, where we make a lot of decisions, or in a more spontaneous way where we're constantly taking in information. People on the judging side value organization, planning, and keeping options few so that it's easier to make decisions, while people on the perceiving side value flexibility, spontaneity, and keeping options open. And it's important to remember that judging in this context isn't a negative because you're not judging people. Judging here means being decisive. J's will feel relieved after they make a decision, whereas P's may put off making decisions because they don't have enough information yet, or because doing so limits the options available. And on this slide is a rough breakdown of population in terms of personality type. In the upper left, you can see that there's roughly half and half extroverts and introverts. In the upper right, about 3/4 sensors and 1/4 intuitors. In the bottom left, roughly 2/3 feelers and 1/3 thinkers. And in the bottom right, just over half judgers and just under half perceivers. On the screen now is a grid showing the 16 types that you might test into. Once you complete the TruTalent assessment, you'll receive a report with your MBTI code to review. Before we go over a sample report together, I want to spend a couple of minutes going over one somewhat common objection to the MBTI, which is that it classifies people into types, which can be a way to excuse people from certain kinds of behaviors or responsibilities because they can say, well, those things just aren't consistent with my type. So for example, on the screen, one inappropriate use of type is that we see a person who tests as ISTJ, or introverted, sensing, thinking, judging, say, well, as an ISTJ, I just can't brainstorm. That's not my strength. And a person who tests as an ENFP, extroverted, intuitive, feeling, perceiving, say, ugh, I don't want to learn how to create a business plan. That's just not who I am. And of course, those things may not be your preference, which is fine. The MBTI measures preference, not ability. But your type is not a hard line around your ability or your responsibilities, and you shouldn't use it in that way. It also shouldn't be used to push tasks onto others. You should never use knowledge of other people's types to make them handle all the work that you don't want to do. For example, making people who test high for sensing handle all the details of a job so that you don't have to. So now we're going to review a sample report together. Some things that you should keep in mind as we do so. Strengths and challenges and recommendations under each section of the report are based on your reported type. So the recommendations made for an INFP and an ESFJ may have some overlap because the tester shares the F, the feeling. But on the whole, they'll be different. They'll be focused to your unique profile. The Careers and Pathways section of the report will suggest careers that have been popular with others of your personality type. And as we discussed earlier, this is not the sum total of who you are as a person. Other factors in your life are obviously going to influence your way of interacting with the world. So now I'm going to navigate away from the PowerPoint and to a sample report for an ENFJ, or a person who expressed preferences for extroversion, intuition, feeling, and judging. This is an interactive report. You can select particular strengths or challenges for later review, as well as recommendations and suggestions for further development in learning, work and productivity, communication, and working with others, which are unique facets of a college student's career planning needs. So let's focus on one of them for now, the working with others category. As you can see, there's a list of strengths and challenges that people with this personality type have when working with others. And it's helpful to select those facets that you think apply particularly to you. For example, maybe you do perceive yourself as very dependable and very interested in others' ideas, but you know you sometimes struggle with being seen as overly idealistic and that you do dislike conflict. Reviewing and selecting in these sections will earn you a completion badge that demonstrates that you have fully reviewed that section of the assessment. The more you review, the more insights that you might glean about yourself. And then there are recommendations for interacting with others that will help you develop better skills and relationships based on your unique personality profile. Let's move on now to the Careers and Pathways section. So this section of the report links your assessment results with careers that match your profile. The careers in this section are based on information pulled from the personalities of those working in these fields currently and in the past. The TruTalent assessment has information on over 1,000 careers across various categories and occupations that will also be compared with your responses. You can organize these careers in a variety of ways: by career cluster, or the type of role, by the level of education required, by the job prospects or outlook for this field in the future, by salary range, and by clicking on the occupation, for example, occupational therapist, you'll reveal detailed information and a list of related occupations, which is very helpful information for expanding your options of careers to consider. And you can also save options for later review within this report. So that is the basic of the TruTalent personality test. So in summary, the TruTalent is a great assessment that offers an in-depth view of your personality and of careers to consider based on that personality. But as we close out, I want to mention one other thing about using career assessments, which is that they are wonderful tools that support career decision making, but you shouldn't rely on them solely when you're making your career decisions. You want to take information from the career assessment to explore in further depth by talking to someone who works in the field, or by finding a job, shadowing, volunteering, a part-time job experience, a virtual job experience that helps you figure out what it's like to work in that job day to day from people who are currently working in the field or who have worked in the field in the past. Having said that, career assessments are excellent ways to narrow your focus of careers since there are so many options to choose from. I hope that this TruTalent presentation has been useful as you consider exploring the various career paths that you might pursue. And please don't hesitate to reach out to the UCC about any career-related questions that you might have. When campus is open, we're located in Summerfield Hall 206. And when it's not, we're available remotely via phone at 785-864-3624, via email at ucc@ku.edu, and for video appointments via Zoom or Skype. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can call the UCC or sign up online via hirejayhawks.ku.edu using the Counseling tab within your profile. Thank you again for taking the time to view this presentation, and rock chalk!